So I think this is where the idea of like I think like Alex, if you're familiar with Alex, the judge on C4, he calls it like EV, and Trust calls it like heat maps, I think. But this is the idea of maximizing your time on areas of the protocol that have higher chances of having bugs. I mean, because if like you have like a ERC20, simple ERC20 versus like some complicated logic that implements like a redrawer queue or some novel math that does some like share calculation, obviously you should spend more time on the complex part because that is most probably where the bugs are going to get found. Yeah, so if you have no idea what you should look at after having a full understanding of the protocol, this is what I suggest. I mean, alternatively, some people that don't like to go through like the entire protocol, this is also another strategy. You can just identify areas of a protocol that look more complicated and you dive deep into these areas. Actually, even like a bit of an aside, but I think bug bounties, if you do bug bounties, this is what a lot of people do also, because for bug bounties, there's so many protocols and the protocol is so huge. You can't possibly review it from like start to finish. So I think what they do is they just identify areas that are like vulnerable or have a higher chance of having bugs and you dive deep into this. Yeah. But back to audit contests, I would say this is like the main meat of the ideating phase, where you identify areas to look at and you just look into it and you just try to break it, I guess. Yeah. And
Very
then
good tips.
third,
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, the third phase, this is like sort of like I call it the reporting phase. I think this is a under discussed area because everyone that does audit contests, they just like nowadays is worse, honestly. Back then, I think in like 2022, at least you'll get like decent reports most of the time. Like minimally, if they report a finding, you'll have a line by line example of how the bug appears. But I think nowadays, like the quality sort of dropped. Maybe I'm saying this because I'm a judge now, but yeah, the
So
quality
you would say
of
that the quality dropped during the years. Now the quality of the reports are much lower.
yeah, I think this is what happened. Because I remember back then, okay, maybe this is because back then I was newer and I had like a less nuanced perspective, I guess. But back then you would have line by line examples and like reports in details. Nowadays, I think a lot of people just submit, like they put a code snippet of the line that the bug is in, then they say like a few sentences on how this is a bug. Then they
Front
suddenly
running.
jump to
Here, front running. That's it.
yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
something like that.
Like they say, oh, there is reentrancy here, but then they don't describe
Reentrancy.
how there's reentrancy, and then they just suddenly say, oh, you can lose funds.
So
like
as a
there's
judge,
this.
when you see these kind of reports, you would immediately like disvalidate them and say like this is wrong.
I mean, okay, I haven't judged a contest yet, but I think what I would do is, if it's really serious where they don't explain what's going on, I think I would invalidate it as like insufficient proof. But sometimes like there's this fine line where you can't, the line isn't so clear because sometimes it's a lot harder to tell whether you should give like the warden like what's the term for it? You should like give him the like benefit of the doubt whether he actually knows what the bug is, just that he didn't have the time, or sometimes like because some people don't, their native language isn't in English, so they can't describe it well also. Yeah, so this line is very blurred.